beautiful.
In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Great new day to all my self-care friends and family. Welcome back to the Room to Breathe podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so happy that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into this episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and show us some love. Tap the screen, like, comment, and share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Or for those of you who haven't done so already, go hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. And I want to also personally invite everyone to check out our digital home at theselfcareclub.org. We've made some upgrades over there, so I'm curious to see how you like it. You can find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and a ton of free resources to nourish your growth and remind you that you are supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this healing thing alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, but most importantly for you. Now, if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. That is our way of saying that I'm healing, I'm growing, and I am showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Now, yesterday we had a conversation about disrespect versus distance, right? And, how boundaries protect your peace, how saying no isn't rejection, and how distance doesn't have to feel like abandonment, right? So today I thought we might as well just kind of expand on that conversation, but go a little deeper, right? So I wanted to spin the block a little bit with the conversation and talk about second chances, right? Now, I know on the surface, second chances sounds beautiful, right? Like it sounds like redemption. That sounds like growth, right? They sound like forgiveness in action. Welcome in, wisdom. And, when you think of second chances, it sounds like hope and grace and brand new beginnings. But here's the truth that I feel doesn't get preached about much. Not everyone who's coming back for a second chance is showing up to make things right with you. Some people don't want restoration. They just want to regain access. And sometimes they don't want to rebuild anything at all. They just want to finish what they started. Whether that's stirring up the same drama, whether that's pulling you back into confusion, or breaking your heart in the same way all over again. And I know that somebody is listening to this right now, and y'all feel that all in your chest. Y'all might be sitting there nodding like, Coach, yep, you're right about that one. Because, we've all been there before, right? We've opened the door again, whether it was an ex promising that they've changed, or a friend swearing that they've grown, or a family member saying that they'll do better. And before long, it's like deja vu, right? They pick up right where they left off. Like no lessons have been learned, like no time had passed at all. And the hardest part is that deep down inside, we knew, right? Our spirit knew better. We felt that hesitation, but part of you that is soft and loving and hopeful, right? Your heart just simply believed in growth and in redemption. And so you just wanted to give them another chance, all right? We wanted to show them or extend grace to them because you are someone who gives second chances freely. And that is a beautiful thing. Yeah. It especially hurts when it's your children, right? When the products of us let us down, it hit different. But family, I want you to hear me clearly. It's not your responsibility to keep giving people the same seat in your life when they already showed you that they don't know how to handle it, that they don't respect it, right? Grace doesn't mean granting repeat access to chaos. When you think about forgiveness and reconciliation, those are two different things entirely. And so understanding the difference is the key to protecting your peace. So today we're going to unpack all of this. We're going to talk about why people come back. Are they seeking restoration or are they just trying to regain access? We're going to talk about how to spot the difference between real change and recycled behavior. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how to protect your peace without carrying guilt. Because family, you don't owe anyone access to you, especially when your peace is on the line. But again, let's just keep it all the way real, right? People don't always circle back out of love, right? Hey, Mr. Keisha. People don't always circle back out of love, right? It's not always about realizing, oh, he's worthy, she's worthy, and they suddenly value who you are. Sometimes their return is just rooted in self-interest, not genuine change. And I can break this down with 4 C's. Okay? 4 C's can break this down for you. Number 1, comfort. Comfort. Sometimes they come back out of comfort, right? Because you were familiar. You were a soft place for them to land. The safe space where they could be messy and still forgiven. They didn't demand too much. You because again, you didn't demand too much. You didn't put too much on them. You didn't ask them for too much. You love hard. Christian Empowers, welcome in. Right? You understood them when other people did not. And that kind of comfort is addictive, right? So when life gets cold, they run back to what's warm. So some people only spin the block because you provide them with a different level of comfort. The second C, control. Control. Right? Other times when they spin that block, it's out of control. They want to reestablish that grip that they once had on you. It's not about love, it's about ego. They cannot stand the idea that you have moved on, that you have healed, that you have, built a life where their presence is no longer required. So in this season, they like to pop back up, not to nurture you, but to remind you that they still can, that they still hold power over you, that they can still control you. Welcome in, Buddha. And if we're not honest with ourselves, sometimes we confuse this attention with affection. We like to think that he loves me because he keeps coming back. Not the case. He just wants to control you. He's just doing it for old time's sake. He wants to make sure that he still has it in him. Peace and blessings, Mr. T. Welcome in, bro. So we got comfort. We got control. The next C is convenience. They do it out of convenience. Let's be real. Sometimes it is just plain easy, right? Life got rough. The new relationship failed. Friends weren't available and they didn't plan ahead. So now you are somebody's plan B. You're their backup plan. Not a priority, an option, right? And that stings, but it is true. And family, we are too valuable to live in anybody's maybe pile. I'm not a maybe girl, right? I'm not an option. I'm a priority. And so again, some people simply come back because it's convenient for them to do so. You make it easy for them to come in and out of your life. It's like you set a boundary, but it's up with a revolving door. So people can come in and disrespect you and walk out and take everything. And then they can come back and disrespect you, and then they'll walk out and take everything. My sis said, I don't like that. Girl, we're gonna have to drop a dime on them for that, honey. And that last C, you guys, is closure, but on their terms. And I think this is the hardest one, right? Because they don't want restoration. They're not seeking restoration. They just want closure. And they want the closure on their terms. So maybe they come back because they feel guilty. Maybe their conscience is heavy. Maybe they want to smooth things over so they can feel like the good guy in their own story because it's too hard for them to be the villain that they really are, right? And so they just want to smooth things over. But you have to notice this. It's not about repairing what's broken for you. It's about easing the weight on them. Hey, Brand, welcome in. So again, those 4 C's are why people come back, right? They want comfort, control, convenience, and closure on their terms, all on their terms. So when somebody shows up in your life asking for a second chance, here's the real question you have to start asking yourself. Are they seeking reconciliation, or are they just hoping to restore access? Because reconciliation requires work, right? It requires consistency, accountability, honesty, and change. But access just means they want the benefits of you without the commitment to handle you properly. They don't want to heal you. They don't want to help you. They want to resume hurting you. And family, if all they want is access to you, understand that that is access to your energy, your time, your love, your peace. You've got to decide, is that a price that you are still willing to pay? Is it worth it to you to allow them access back into your life? Think about all the work that you've been doing, right? All the lessons that you've learned. Are the heartbreaks that you've healed? Do you want to let them back in? Hey, Tisha. You know, they have words, which is when they just do a lot of talking. And then there's work, where they show up and put the effort, right? So again, if we keep it all the way real, words are easy. Anybody can say, I've changed. It just rolls off the tongue smoothly, right? What up, Juicy Juice? Anybody can say, I've changed. Anybody can send you a long text message or pour out tears over the phone. They can write you the sweetest apology letters. They can pull up with flowers and gifts and candy and cards or promises. But listen, real change doesn't live in lip service. It lives in lifestyle. See, change doesn't beg for shortcuts. I know that's right, sis. I need action. Show me, right? Show me better than you can tell me, right, sis? And so change isn't out here begging for shortcuts. It doesn't ask to, skip the line back into your life. See, true change, thank you, Mr. T, it shows up consistently in their actions. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs something, right? They got to put the effort forth. Absolutely. So how do you know when it's the real thing, right? How are we supposed to, discern the difference, right? Because some of us, we have been a poor judge of character over the years. We've been allowing people to circle the block way too many times. And so for some of us, we're like, I don't even know what real looks like. You know what I mean? I've grown so used to thinking that these knights and shining armors were all that, and I didn't recognize that they were all covered up in aluminum foil. I didn't see it, right? Miss Sherry, welcome in, beautiful. So, step to look for is that they respect your boundaries without being reminded. Okay? They respect your boundaries without being reminded. You don't have to repeat yourself like you're a teacher of a toddler. Okay? They don't test you. They don't guilt you. They honor your no just as much as they celebrate your yes. So if a person is circling the block and they're coming back, understand that they already remember what led to them leaving in the first place, right? So they're going to come back and they're going to show you that they've learned. They're not going to come back and resume, dancing all over your boundaries. They're not going to come back and disrespect you. See, they recognize the distance and they realize that they were disrespecting. And so now they're going to come back and show you something different. So that's the first sign. Next, let me tell you something. They show consistency over time. When a person comes back into your life and they really want to reconcile, they are going to show you consistency, right? And not just when it benefits them. Okay? Not just when it benefits them, right? It's not about a good week or a good month. Consistency means that they show up the same way whether you're watching them or not, right? Whether it is easy or hard. Whether people are clapping for them or silent. Thank you, Twista. Welcome in, beautiful. Right? They're not doing it for the gram. They're not doing it for show. They're doing it because it is the right thing to do. So again, look to see if that person is showing you consistency. Exactly. It takes time. And then lastly, and maybe even most importantly, they are willing to rebuild trust brick by brick. See, think about a house for a moment. If a storm came through and tore your house down, you wouldn't let somebody slap up some cardboard walls and start calling it home again, would you? Hey, Queen Majesty. Right? Like, you wouldn't allow them to just hurry up and throw something up in 24 hours and say, this is your new home. No, you'd want a stronger foundation. You want steady walls. You want a roof that could withstand another storm. And that takes time, right? That takes patience. That takes commitment. And so real change is the same way. It's not built overnight. It is built brick by brick, action by action, showing up one day at a time until something strong and something safe is standing again. It's not going to rush it. It is something so selfish about people when they try to, show up and regain access to you. They're the ones that hurt you. They're the ones that disrespect you, or they're the ones that broke the trust. And then they show back up in your life and then they tell you, oh, you should be healed. Oh, I'm not going to keep waiting on this if you're not going to forgive me. Like, the audacity of you to think that you could hurt me and then rush my healing while you're not even helping my healing, right? Like, that's not what change is about. And so here's how you know when it's not real, okay? Because sometimes it's the red flags that we see. It's the red flags that we retain, right? And so here's how you know when it's not real. If they start guilt tripping you, right? If they start guilt tripping you for not letting them back into your life immediately. If they start blaming you for how things ended. Because, honey, they quick to try to remind you, right, of how things ended. Well, I left before because... Well, if you know why you left before, why are you coming back? Why are we here again? right? Think about if they start rushing the process and trying to fast track back, into your heart without putting in the work. These are all red flags. See, you didn't take your time hurting me. You hurried up and hurt me. You hurried up and disrespected me. So now you think you're going to hurry up and come back after I've been sitting here doing all of this work on me? That's a hell no. Right? That's crazy. That's not restoration. That is manipulation dressed up like effort. Welcome in, Papa Smurf. Brother. Again, you guys, that is just manipulation dressed up real pretty. And I'll say this. Apologies are like seeds. They sound good when they're planted, but unless you water them with accountability and nurture them with consistency, they're never going to bear fruit. Period. Okay? They are never going to bear fruit. So at the end of the day, somebody who has truly changed won't need to convince you with their words because their actions will speak loud enough. And so we have to be mindful of this trap of repeating second chances. All right, let's talk about that for a moment. And when I say a trap, I'm talking about the trap of giving too many second chances. Because here's the truth. It's not just about them. It's also about what it's doing to you. The more second chances that you hand out, the less respect people tend to have for your boundaries. And that's not their fault. They're learning by your example. Hey, Mr. Awesome. Right? So if every single time they mess up, you forgive them without holding space for accountability, you are silently teaching them that your forgiveness is a free pass. And that is exhausting. Every single time you step back into that cycle, your energy gets chipped away. Your spirit gets drained a little bit more. And before you know it, what started off as love or hope becomes trauma bonding. Yeah, I said it. Trauma bonding. That sticky, confusing space where chaos feels like connection. Where you find yourself rationalizing their actions, excusing their behavior, or even protecting the people who have hurt you repeatedly. And that it is so sneaky, right? Because your heart wants to see the good in them. Your heart wants to see the best in them. You start falling in love with their potential. The person that they could be, right? The person you hope that they'll become, rather than the person they actually are, the person that is standing in front of you. But here's the hard truth. Potential cannot love you back. Potential cannot show up for you. Potential will never respect your time. It will never respect your peace. And it will never respect your boundaries. And the thing is, this trap doesn't just hurt you emotionally. It starts to bleed into everything else. Your self-esteem, your energy, your ability to trust. And suddenly you'll find yourself apologizing for feeling drained, for, feeling guilty for protecting yourself, or for doubting your own discernment. Family, that's why this is so important. This is such an important lesson for us all, because repeated second chances without change are not acts of love. It is actually an act of self-sabotage. And protecting your peace, that is not selfish. It is survival. That's wisdom. It's honoring the healed, empowered version of you who's no longer willing to pay the same price for someone else's growth or lack thereof. So let me ask you this. Who in your life keeps coming back, but nothing has changed? And how long are you willing to let the cycle drain your spirit before you choose peace over pattern? The shift that we need to make today is understanding that our peace is worth more than anyone else's presence in our life. I'm going to say it again. Your peace is worth more than anyone's presence in your life. Think about it for a second. Sometimes we get caught up trying to hold on to people, trying to fix them, trying to do the right thing. And in the process, we let our own energy, our own joy, and our own spirit get compromised. And oftentimes we end up forgetting that forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. See, forgiveness is for you. It's freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness and resentment and pain. But it doesn't mean that you have to re-invite them back into your life. It doesn't mean that you have to give them access again. I can forgive you and release you. Right? But when we think about reconciliation, see, that's a whole different ball game. That requires both people showing up with accountability, honesty, real change. That requires trust to be rebuilt, brick by brick. And if they're not willing to do that work, then reconciliation isn't on the table. No matter how much they say with their words, if they are not willing to put a work, reconciliation is not on the table. So when someone shows back up in your life asking for another chance, I want you to ask yourself some tough questions. I want you to ask yourself, do I feel peace or pressure by their return? And see, you have to listen to your body, your spirit, your gut. Because peace feels expansive, right? Peace is light. But pressure is heavy. Don't ignore the heaviness. That is your body's way of telling you something is not quite right. Something is a little off. And so you have to pay attention. Love Ava, welcome in. When you feel that heaviness, it's usually your soul telling you something real. So watch out for that. Ask yourself, do I see growth or just desire? See, desire is what they want, but growth is what they've earned. So don't get fooled by someone who wants to be better, but hasn't shown you the proof in their actions. Don't be fooled. And the last question that you need to ask yourself, give me just 1 second, family. The last question that you want to ask yourself is, am I compromising my healing just to keep their company? Am I sacrificing myself just to keep their company? There's nothing noble about sacrificing your mental, emotional, or spiritual health, especially simply to just make someone else comfortable. You have to understand that your healing is non-negotiable. It is not up for debate. I'm not going to negotiate my peace. All this work that I've done, I'm not going to compromise that just to keep you in my life, in my space. Absolutely, Brooks. Welcome in, Butterfly. And here's the thing about boundaries, you guys. They are your filter. Thank you, beautiful. They are your filter, not your punishment. Boundaries are, the tools that allow you to protect your heart. They, it not only does it allow you to protect your heart, it allows you to protect your time, your energy, right? They're not just walls to shut people out. Your boundaries are guidelines that say, I will not allow harm to touch me again. Right? And let me remind you that you can love someone from afar and still protect your spirit. Okay? You don't have to carry them. You don't have to give people unlimited access. Welcome in, Kale. Right? You don't have to give them unlimited access to you. Understand that, sometimes it just simply means protecting your peace and letting go without explanation. You don't have to feel guilty for saying no to their return if it's threatening your peace. Sometimes it just means stepping back and saying, hey, I forgive you, but I will not allow you back in until you show me the work. It's like, I wish you well. I want more for you. I want you to eat, but I can no longer serve you at this table. Thank you so much for the repost. Welcome in, sis. Right? I want you to eat. I wish you well from a distance. I wish you well over there. And family, the people who truly love you, the people who truly respect your peace, they'll get it because they respect you. Right? But those who don't, their absence is not a loss. Right? That is protection. That is the universe's way of letting you know what? That wasn't for you anyway. So when people want to walk away from you, let them. And understand that you are not obligated, nor required, nor expected to let them back. At some point, you have to choose yourself over cycles. You have to choose yourself over cycles. And, understand that sometimes the bravest, most radical thing that you can simply do is say no. And when I say no, I'm not talking about in anger. I'm not saying out of spite, right? But I'm saying it as a means of self-preservation. Understand that saying no to them is saying yes to you. Yes to your peace. Yes to your boundaries. Yes to your healing. And understanding that closure doesn't always come in some long, dramatic conversation. Sometimes closure comes quietly. Sometimes closure comes in a single, powerful decision that says, I'm done. Right? I'm done. And that's enough. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You don't need, anybody else's validation, right? Your spirit knows what it needs to know. They said what they said, right? They did what they did. It is what it is. And cool. I felt how I felt. Now I'm good. Right? Because my spirit knows what I need. And sometimes your soul just needs more silence than dialogue. So this is where we get to flip the script, right? Think about it like this. What if the most important second chance isn't for them? What if that second chance that really mattered is the one that you give yourself? Just think about that, right? Because a lot of times with second chances, we think that means allowing them back in. But what if the actual second chance was the gift that we gave to ourselves? right? Like a second chance to trust our intuition. Because, our inner voice has been guiding us all along, right? Even when fear or hope tried to drown it out. So what if we had to give ourselves a second chance to trust ourselves? See, I messed up by letting that suck in my life before, but see, I know better now, so I'm going to do better. Right? Tay, I know better, so I'm going to do better. So I'm going to trust my intuition this time around. I'm not going to ignore the red flags this time around. Or what if that second chance was to honor your worth? Right? What if it was to honor your worth because you're not disposable? You are not replaceable. You are not someone else's convenience. You deserve consistency. You deserve love. You deserve respect that feels like home. So give yourself a second chance to honor your worth. Or how about this one? A second chance to walk away from a cycle that keeps trying to break you. Right? I'm talking about the cycle of betrayal. I'm talking about the cycle of manipulation, inconsistency, and heartbreak. Sometimes the strongest love that you can show yourself is simply the courage to let go. Let go. And so sometimes we just need that second chance to walk away, to recognize that this ain't it. This ain't it. Has never been it. Will never be it. One moment, family. Okay, family, I'm back. Sorry about that. But yeah, again, sometimes the best thing that we can do is give ourselves the second chance to trust our intuition, to honor our worth, and to walk away from the cycles that keep trying to break us. Right? Cardi says, let's normalize walking away and not feeling guilty. Right? I'm going to do so knowing that this is the best decision for me. So that type of second chance is everything. Welcome in, Kelly. That type of second chance transforms everything. It doesn't just change, who you allow back into your life. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you protect your energy moving forward. Right? And, the truth of the matter is, people will always come, people will always go. Right? People will always make mistakes because that is part of our human makeup. That is what part of what makes us human. We all make mistakes. Right? Sometimes we're the ones that hurt people. And so we have to normalize, sometimes they're not going to allow us back. Right? But we have to remember that you only get one life, one spirit, one heart. You get to decide what you allow to live, right? You get to decide who you allow in your life. You get to decide what you allow to live in your life. Thank you so much. And the moment that you choose you over cycle, you reclaim your power. So let me leave you with this, okay? Choosing yourself over cycles of heartbreak and destruction is not selfish. That is survival. That is growth. That is wisdom. And it's the ultimate act of self-love. I want you guys to remember that it is okay for you to close doors that were never meant to stay open. It is okay for you to protect your energy. And it is more than okay to give yourself the second chance. Not them, you. Give yourself the second chance to rise, to heal, and to thrive without the weight of anyone else's chaos. And I know this has to be resonating with you guys because listen, I've been there too. Okay? I've had people come back with the same song and dance over and over and over again. The same apology, the same I missed you, right? And I had to ask myself, do they miss me or do they just miss what I do for them? Right? Do they just miss what I provided them? So, and I know y'all have had those moments too, right? It is hard, Twister, but we have to remind ourselves it's not impossible, right? We have to remind ourselves that it is not impossible because God gave us this beautiful gift of discernment. He armed us with the resources internally where our body tells us when things aren't right. We just get very caught up in the world and choose to ignore it. So again, understand that everybody's had these moments. We've all been there before, right? Maybe it's a friendship that felt one-sided, or maybe it's a family member who crossed your boundaries every single chance they get, time after time after time again. So let me ask you, when you have, when have you let someone back in and realize they haven't changed? And how did that make you feel? Right? Again, sit with that for a moment. Remember how it made you feel. Remember the hurt. Remember the pain. Remember all the headache and the heartbreak. Right? Remember that. And let's take it spiritually and emotionally for just a moment, right? The parts that we don't talk about enough is that sometimes God removes people from your life for a reason. And here we are trying to resuscitate what God has already said is dead in our life. We just want to keep bringing it back. We want to keep pouring life back into that. But we have to understand that sometimes doors close so that new doors, better doors that are lined with peace and growth and blessings can open. But every single time we swing that door back open for someone who isn't aligned in our path, then all we do is delay our blessings, right? We delay the blessings that were waiting for us on the other side. So think about how many times you've held on to someone out of habit, nostalgia, or hope, only to realize later that letting go would have created space for something better. That's not just coincidence. That is divine timing. Your discernment is your protection. That little voice in your spirit, that hesitation or that gut check is not fear. That is God whispering, I'm here. I'm guiding you. Lock in, stay aligned, focus, right? Every time you say no to someone who isn't right for your season, it's not rejection. Okay? It's not rejection. It's redirection. It's God moving you forward towards what's meant for you, towards the people that are for you, the opportunities that are for you, and the energy that will nurture, not drain, right? Things that will fill your cup, not drain it. Things that will nurture your spirit, not drain it. And since we're here, let's go ahead and anchor, this in, let's go ahead and anchor this, in the word. Give me a second. Let me pull this up real quick. Two seconds, y'all. I want to make sure. I need to look this up really quick, y'all, because y'all know I be knowing my word, but I don't be knowing the scripture that it's tied to. So I need to look it up. It's on my heart, but I got to make sure I say it right, y'all. Two seconds, y'all. Tap the screen while you wait. Because I'm going to get this right. Okay. Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That's not about coldness. That isn't being mean or unforgiving, right? It says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So we got to protect our heart, right? That's wisdom. That's understanding that your energy, your peace, your spirit, that they're all sacred. And when you guard your heart, you are not just protecting yourself, but your destiny. And so sometimes the most spiritual act that you can do is walking away from what no longer serves you. Sometimes the most emotional act of all is simply saying that I will not compromise my peace for anyone else's comfort. I will not cut myself to make it easier for you to chew me up, only to spit me out in the end anyway. And when you do that, family, you make space for restoration in ways that you didn't even realize was possible. Okay? Ways that you never could have imagined. And so understand that every person who leaves, every boundary you enforce, every, second chance that you wisely withhold, it's all a part of your divine alignment. God doesn't make mistakes, and neither does your discernment. You have to trust it. You have to honor it, and you have to lean into it. So I want you guys to take a deep breath with me. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. Again, breathe in. And exhale. I want you to remember this. Forgiveness is free. Access is earned. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back, y'all. Y'all hear me? Forgiveness is free. Access is earned. Forgiveness is for your soul. It is simply there to lighten the load. It frees your spirit. It lets you walk without bitterness. But access, that is a whole different conversation. Okay? Access is earned through consistency, accountability, and respect. Right, Tay? So just because someone says that I'm sorry, it doesn't mean that they get unlimited re-entry into your life. So remember, forgiveness is free, but access is earned. Second chances should be about growth, not convenience. A second chance isn't a reset button so someone can, keep taking without giving. It's an opportunity to rebuild. It's an opportunity to rebuild, to show change, to prove that effort matches the word. If all you see is desire without growth, that's not a second chance. That is a cycle repeating itself. And your spirit doesn't need to get caught up in that. Hey, Kay. Third, your peace is too expensive to gamble. I don't like to play games. Okay, y'all? My peace is too expensive for me to give it away. And so every time that you let someone back in who isn't aligned with your healing, you risk your energy, your joy, your heart. Your peace isn't just a luxury. It is your foundation. So you have to protect it fiercely. You have to guard it diligently. And never apologize for doing so. And fourth, right? Number 4, the best second chance is the one that you give yourself. Right? The second chance to trust your intuition. The second chance to honor your worth. The second chance to walk away from a cycle that keeps showing up to break you. That's where the real transformation happens. That's where you reclaim your power, your clarity, and your spirit. So let's affirm this together, that I forgive quickly, I discern wisely, welcome in, Rose, and I protect fiercely. Not everybody deserves a second chance with me, and that's okay. Y'all, say it with me. I forgive quickly. Let me add this to the chat for y'all. I forgive quickly. I discern wisely. I protect fiercely. Not everyone deserves a second chance with me, and that's okay. And I want y'all to say that like you mean it. I want it to echo in your mind, in your heart, and in your soul. Because when you live by this truth, you stop giving energy to those who don't deserve it. You start creating space for people, for opportunities, and for blessings that truly align with your peace and your purpose. That is right, Kale. I forgive quickly. I discern wisely. And I protect fiercely. Remember, healing isn't about letting everyone back in. Your healing is not an all access pass. Healing is about letting yourself rise, reclaim your power, and honor the life that you were meant to live. So, family, as you move into this week, I want you to pause and really reflect. Who has been asking for another chance in your life? A second chance at love, a second chance at, peace in a relationship. What are they asking you for, right? And again, be honest with yourself. Does their request feel like it's a genuine restoration? Or is it just the same cycle repeating itself over and over again? Ask yourself that. And even more importantly, I want you to look at where in your life do you need to give yourself a second chance. Right? That second chance at love. Welcome in, Lotus. That second chance at peace. That second chance at healing. A second chance of trusting yourself again. Just because you made a bad choice then doesn't mean that every single choice that you make going forward is going to be bad. So give yourself a second chance to trust yourself again. Because family, sometimes the most transformative thing that that you have, right, is that second chance, but not for them, that second chance for you. And so if this conversation hit home with you, let me see some green hearts in the chat. Let me see the people that I'm really talking to, the people who are really tapped in. Let me see. Okay, we got Bryn, we got Tay. Who else am I talking to today? Kale, Cardi on the south side rolling with me. Miss Sherry on the west side connected. Rozzy Roz, welcome in. LaShonda, welcome in. Remember, guys, the green hearts in our chat, that is our signal to each other, right? That we are healing. Welcome back, Papa Smurf. When you see green hearts in this chat, that is our way of saying I'm healing, I'm growing, I am showing up for me. And if you feel moved, if this conversation stirred up something in you, I want you to be sure to share this out with someone else who may need this reminder, right? Let them know that they deserve it just as much as we do. And, as you move forward, I want you to remember to protect your peace, to trust your discernment, to, to trust in your own intuition and understand that, you don't owe repeated access to anyone who mishandled you the first time. That's their loss. And that's not coldness. That is wisdom. That is, I know better, so I'm doing better. I am being better. Right? That's loving yourself enough to walk away from cycles that no longer serve you. Now, family, before we part ways, as always, let me leave you with a little love and light. I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every single moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels just out of reach. And know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I cannot wait to connect with you all again soon. Thank you.